Welcome back to PharmCon tutorial. In today's lecture, we will discuss about anti-Parkinsonism tricks. Parkinsonism is a chronic progressive motor disorder. Is a disease of older people, about 2% of the older people actually, in the 7th decade of their life, which is due to the result of neurodegenerative changes, that is in the dopaminergic nigrostriatal pathway, leading to three classic symptoms that are bradykinesia, muscle rigidity, and tremor. The etiology behind this Parkinsonism disease is the imbalance between the acetylcholine and dopamine that is disturbed by the neurodegenerative process. Normally, there is a balance between dopamine and acetylcholine in the basal ganglia, nigrostriatal pathway, but in this Parkinson's disease, what happens is that there is a degeneration of the nigrostriatal neurons in the basal ganglia, which leads to dopamine deficiency. As we know that this dopamine inhibits the inhibitory neurotransmission and leads to initiation of movement. So, deficiency of this dopamine will lead to classic cardinal manifestations of this Parkinsonism, that is bradykinesia, or it is otherwise called the slowness of movement. While the other two, that is the muscle rigidity and resting tremor, is due to the increased acetylcholine acting on the muscarinic receptors. Now let's see the dopamine receptors. There are two types of dopamine receptors, D1 and D2. D1 is GS coupled and D2 is GI coupled. D1 is seen in the blood vessel and CNS, whereas D2 is seen in the chemotrigger zone and pituitary. And specifically, this D2A is present in the nigrostriatal pathway and D2C is present in the mesolimbic pathway. Now here this diagram will show how the imbalance between the increased acetylcholine and the decreased dopamine will cause the Parkinson's symptoms. There are three neurons here. One is the cholinergic, other is the dopaminergic, and the third is the GABAergic. We know that this GABA releasing neuron is an inhibitory neuron. So the dopamine released by the dopaminergic neuron is playing the excitatory role here because it is inhibiting an inhibitory neuron, right? While the cholinergic neuron releasing the acetylcholine, that is which is reacting on the M3 receptor, is GS coupled and it is stimulatory. So this will stimulate an inhibitory neuron leading to inhibition, which causes akinesia, and increased acetylcholine will cause increased muscle rigidity and resting tremor. Now let us see where we can incorporate the anti-Parkinson's drugs in the particular diagram. Firstly, we can increase the dopamine synthesis and release by giving dopamine precursors like L-DOPA. Secondly, we can give dopamine agonist. Third, we have MAO-B inhibitors, which is responsible for the degradation of dopamine. Fourth, we can block the acetylcholine receptors, that is the muscarinic receptors, to block cholinergic activity. Before moving to classification of anti-Parkinson's drug, we will discuss about the prodrug levodopa. Dopamine as such cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. So they are given in the form of levodopa, which is converted by the aromatic amino acid decarboxylase, or it is otherwise called as dopa decarboxylase enzyme, to dopamine in the CNS. Now the problem is we do have this enzyme, that is the aromatic amino acid decarboxylase, even in the periphery. So when they convert levodopa to dopamine in the periphery, it leads to lots of side effects due to the dopamine in the periphery. One among them is emesis. And again, to make the situation worse, there is another enzyme, that is catechol O-methyl transferase, or COMT, which is present in, both in the CNS and periphery. What they do is they convert the levodopa to 3-O-methyl dopa. So the levodopa availability will be decreased, and this 3-O-methyl dopa is actually a partial agonist, and in presence of this dopamine it will act as an antagonist. So we have two problems here. One is a peripheral decarboxylase enzyme and the other is COMT. So we need to inhibit both these enzymes. And again, in the CNS, this dopamine is degraded by MAO, that is monoamino oxidase B enzyme, into its metabolite. So we also need to inhibit this. Now that we have got some basic ideas regarding this, let's move on to the classification of drugs used in the Parkinsonism. One class of drug will act on the dopaminergic system to increase the dopamine level, and the second class will act on cholinergic system to decrease cholinergic activity. The dopaminergic system will include dopamine precursors, dopamine agonist, NMDA receptor antagonist, MAO-B inhibitors, and COMT inhibitors. While the cholinergic drugs will include anticholinergics and antihistamines because they also have antimuscarinic properties. The first class of drug in the dopaminergic system is the levodopa. We cannot administer dopamine as such because it won't cross blood-brain barrier. So we give it its precursor, that is the levodopa, and it is converted into dopamine by the dopa decarboxylase enzyme or the AAA decarboxylase in the CNS. But as mentioned earlier, we have to give peripheral decarboxylase enzyme inhibitor, that is the carbidopa. Now about the side effects, it shows both peripheral and CNS side effects. This peripheral side effects include nausea, vomiting, and this is due to its action on the D2 receptor. And the CNS side effects are anorexia, weight loss, and this is due to increased dopamine. The cardiovascular system will manifest a hypotension, tachycardia, that is a reflex tachycardia, palpitation, and cardiac arrhythmias due to D1 receptor on the blood vessels. Another side effects is the dyskinesia, that is involuntary initiation of movement into hyperkinetic movement is seen due to excessive dopamine. Due to the stimulation of this mesolimbic and mesocortical area of the brain, there will be hallucinations, nightmares, and mental changes. With the administration of this levodopa, a phenomena, that is on and off phenomena, is seen, which is basically a fluctuation in the response of the drug. When there is an end of dose, there is an off response, like the switch is turned off, and there is loss of beneficial effects of drug. And when the drug is administered again, it becomes normal, and for this reason, a sustained release formulation of this particular drug is preferred. The next class of drug is the dopamine agonist. The chief drugs are bromocriptine, ropinirole, and pramipexole. They have direct action on dopamine receptor and have an increased duration of action than the dopamine precursor. This bromocriptine, it is a strong D2 agonist and a partial antagonist of D1, whereas this ropinirole and pramipexole are selective D2 and D3 agonist. Next class of drug is amantadine, which is basically an antiviral drug used in influenza treatment, but it is also having an effect on the dopamine synthesis and release as well. It increases the synthesis and release from the dopaminergic neurons, and it is usually used in the initial treatment stage. By this NMDA receptor antagonism, it decreases the glutamate neurotransmission, and this contributes to beneficial effects. The next class of drugs are the MAO-B inhibitors. So as mentioned earlier, dopamine is degraded by the enzyme MAO-B. So if we inhibit this enzyme, dopamine will not be degraded, and increased concentration of dopamine will be available in the CNS. And this will help in the treatment of Parkinsonism. The chief drugs are selegiline and rasagiline. A problem associated with this drug is that their metabolites are amphetamines, and these are CNS stimulants, so they cause insomnia, anxiety, nausea, vomiting, etc. The last drug in the dopaminergic system is the COMT inhibitors. They are tolcapone and entacapone. They are actually reversible inhibitors of COMT, and they will increase the levodopa bioavailability. This tolcapone is both centrally acting and peripherally acting, whereas this entacapone is only peripherally acting. One thing bad about this tolcapone is its hepatotoxicity. Lastly, we have drugs acting on cholinergic system. They are anticholinergics and antihistamines. Anticholinergics are benzhexol and benztropine. They will reduce the increased cholinergic activity in the striatum and are effective in relieving tremor, rigidity of the Parkinsonism. They have atropine-like side effects like a dry mouth, constipation, drowsiness, then blurred vision, etc. Antihistamines are also used, particularly H1 blockers, since they have anticholinergic activity. And the drugs are orphanadrine, promethazine, diphenhydramine, etc. That's all about anti-Parkinson's drugs.